So, this is teaching for women. So, this is your daily reminder that we are to keep the 10 Commandments. We are to eat clean. We are to fulfill the royal law and love our neighbor, according to James chapter 2, verse 8 and 9, Leviticus 19, 15 through 18. And Ezekiel 3, what he says to the porter, he says to all, watch, or he's going to come onto you like a thief in the night. You don't want your hands to be bloody. You don't want to be any respecters of persons, so you commit sin. You do not want to hate your neighbor in your heart, but anyways, rebuke them when they sin, when they're breaking the 10 Commandments. Love your neighbor as thyself. I am the Lord. The 10 Commandments are not grievous. 1 John 5 tells us this is how we love the children of God, when we love God and keep the commandments. For this is the love of God, to keep his commandments. And his commandments are not grievous. They're not burdensome. And that's how he abides with you. Your Messiah's words in John 14. Him who believes on me, the good works, the works that I do, he will do also, and greater works, because he goes to the Father. If you love me, keep my commandments. And I pray to the Father to send you another Comforter, the Spirit of truth, that the world cannot receive, neither knows or seeks any longer. Because 1 John chapter 2, verse 3 and 4, this is how we know him, when we keep his commandments. The world doesn't seek or know him any longer because they don't keep the 10 Commandments. But this is how we know him. The ones set apart, the ones that are obedient, the ones that love Jehovah with all their heart, soul, and minds, keeping the commandments in their heart and teaching them to their children. This is how we know him, when we keep his commandments. And him who says he knows him and keeps not his commandments is a liar, and the Spirit of truth is not in them. None of the commandments are impossible to keep. If you need someone to show you where in the Bible who kept the commandments, read John 14, because his disciples in that upper room, that's who he was speaking to in John 14, telling them, if you love me, keep my commandments. And then when I go to the Father, John 16, he's telling him he must go to the Father so he can give them that comforter. But they got to continue loving him, keeping his commandments. And then he prays the Father to send them another comforter, the Spirit of truth, the second comforter, the Holy Ghost. All those disciples waiting, sitting in the upper room, receive the Spirit of truth. They followed the Lamb wherever he went. In Luke chapter 1, John the Baptist's parents kept the commandments and were blameless in the sight of Jehovah. You can keep the commandments. They're not grievous. Go read Psalm 50, I think it's Psalm 51. You want to have a humble and contrite heart like David, to want to do the will of God. To circumcise your heart. And if you have an occasional stumbling, you do have an advocate But you're not to be in willful sin. You're not to be in willful disobedience, not keeping the Sabbath day on the seventh day as Jehovah has commanded, dawn Saturday to dawn Sunday. Deuteronomy chapter 5, Exodus 20. You're to keep the Sabbath day as He commanded you to keep it on Saturday, the seventh day, not the first day of the week. That's willful disobedience. We are not to do pagan worship with our hands, doing these pagan holidays. Every holiday on that calendar, except for Thanksgiving, is pagan. Honoring other gods, that's where they came from. We're not to have any other gods before Jehovah. We are not to do idolatry, the sin unto death. So we're not to be in willful sin, because sin is the transgression of the law. That's 1 John chapter 3. And breaking the 10 Commandments is sin, because all the law and prophets hang on Yeshua's commandments, and His commandments are Deuteronomy chapter 6, 5, and Leviticus 19, 15 through 18. To love God, keep the commandments, and to love neighbor, rebuke them when they break the commandments, teaching your neighbor to keep the commandments of God. So don't be in willful sin. Don't be willfully being disobedient, because rebellion is as witchcraft to Jehovah, and that's not really having a circumcised heart to want to do the will of God. If you're doing these holidays every year, that just tells Jehovah that you don't want to love Him with all your heart, soul, and mind. You want to worship how you want to worship Him in willful disobedience. So go read Psalm 51. Have a heart of David. Teach your children the commandments. They will want to listen. I mean, my son, he knows the 10 Commandments, and he tells people they need to keep the commandments. He keeps his sister in line. She's 3 years old, and he gets upset when she breaks one of the commandments, when she tells a lie, when she takes things from him that are not hers. And he's always teaching her to keep the commandments. And he knows what it means to love God with all your heart, soul, and mind. And he knows what God's grace is. It is especially divine influence upon your heart and the reflection in life, because I have taught him that. So when he gets pricks, he listens to it. And it's a beautiful thing. And he wants to tell the people, be a servant of Jehovah. He wants to tell everyone to keep the 10 Commandments. He wants to tell everyone how to love God. That is his heart. And it's not a hard thing. It's not a hard thing to teach your children. It's not a hard thing to keep the commandments of God.